We'll start our questions now, and I'm going to start out. The whole thing about the EV tax credits for cars, okay, my personal belief is that we didn't need any, but that was my personal belief. I think everybody knew that. But with that being said, I said, if we're going to do it, let's get something for it. And changing into a transportation mode, going to electric when we had very, very dependable on foreign supply chain on mostly China. I said, that doesn't make any sense. So we put this together saying $3,750 would come if you source, if you secure and source and do the processing in North America or countries with free trade agreement. And we've also agreed, I think, to expand to our allies that weren't in the free trade agreement, but they would be reliable supply chains. And then the other $3,750 was for the manufacturing of the battery in a car in North America. And you know, I've been very upset about this, and we have some slides, I'm going to go through this. One of the things I'm frustrated by is the classification of the manufacturing of certain foils, powders, and other components as processing instead of manufacturing. So what we've done is exactly what you all did. You know, you basically have provided, upside down, you've provided basically I think is it a grant based on exactly what we've talked about. What is the project? You know, cathode powder, global lithium battery industry, the lithium arm, commercial production of, and the cathode powder, and now that cathode powder is into processing. Now it's been defined by the Treasury as processing, and I understand that came from you all. It can't be one or the other, depending on where you want to put it, to get more product from other places. We want this done in America. We don't want this overseas because basically then there's no urgency for our manufacturing to ever do this. That's the problem I'm having with it. If we're going to get something for it, I don't want to be relying on foreign supply chains. I'd rather have it right here in the United States, or at least in North America, we have better control. So can you discuss your involvement with the Treasury on the implementation of the credits? Because they're saying that you all told them what fit where.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we advise the Treasury Department on issues relating to definitions as it involves energy. And we did advise on 30D, and we used the definition that was in the bipartisan infrastructure law, the exact definition.
There was no credits in that. There was nothing that's tied to that.
Right. So we tried to use congressional intent based upon the bipartisan infrastructure law in terms of the definition.
Yeah, but you all had already done a grant based on this.
So this grant, the applicants that you could apply under the extraction processing, you could apply under manufacturing. They applied under the manufacturing. We didn't direct them which way to go. They would have qualified under either side. But the bottom line on this is you're totally right in that we want all of it manufactured in America, or as much of it as possible, or with countries whose values we share.
But the liberalizing of basically the definition puts more money out that doesn't have to go out now. You're going to bust the budget. This bill is not going to stay within the confines of what we had CBO scoring. That's what I'm trying to make. And that's the problem I'm saying. Why in the hell are we totally committed to going further and further in debt, not having to? We're going to get the same results. Manufacturing's coming here. They're not going to get that $3,750 unless they come here, okay? But if they don't have to come, they're going to take it somewhere else where it's cheaper and easier to get, and someone else is already doing it. Could probably be China coming through a back door.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen because China will be potentially one of the foreign entities of concern, and that will not be allowed. Yeah. Thank you for your leadership on this. We should all feel very pleased to note that in this battery supply chain, since these laws and since the beginning of the president's term, there have been 150 battery companies or supply chain elements that have announced they're opening up in the United States, where it would have been, to your point, before in China or in Asia. 150 across all of these states. That equals almost $100 billion worth of investment in the U.S. The policy that this committee and that your leadership, as well as others, has passed matters. And that's why we're seeing all of these companies come to the United States, including extraction, for processing, for manufacturing, for the whole supply chain. It's very exciting to see that things are actually
I'm just
happening.
saying that we need to adhere to the law. The law and intent of the law was to make sure that we developed it here. As long as we're subsidizing and accepting it and giving the same credit somewhere else, nothing different than basically for the first 90 days, they were letting $7,500 go out the door. It was never intended to because they didn't have the rules out. So they're showing me every step of the way that they have liberalized and put more money out as quickly as they can. I mean, my goodness, we're going from the standpoint to where moving into EVs faster than we're able to basically support that transportation mode. On top of that, we're bribing the people by giving them $7,500 to buy the darn thing. And on top of that, we're trying to outlaw using any combustible engines. We're doing everything we can, and the market's not being driven. I said, let the market go where it's going to go. I'll make a decision if I'm going to buy it or not. Let me just switch to something else very quickly. I know my time's up. I truly believe that the president should be sitting down, the Republicans, Democrats, working through a credit deal so we don't hit a debt ceiling. You can't pay Russian roulette with the national debt. You can't do it. So we need to get that done. Hopefully everybody will. How would it run up, if we run up against a debt ceiling, how would it affect how you operate?
Well, clearly we need to not hold things hostage. And
I agree with you. I agree with all that. But they need to sit down and talk. They got to talk. You can't say one side is not going to talk because we're right and you're wrong. But we won't get into that. How would it impact your department if this charade plays on?
Yeah, I mean, the national security of the United States runs through, in part, the Department of Energy. That is critical. We cannot jeopardize our national security, our National Nuclear Security Administration, or our competitiveness in attempting to get all of these investments back in the United States. All of that would be jeopardized.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Senator Barrasso.